Hello everybody, I am the Basement Reviewer, and today I decided that I will be a pony for this review. I immediately regret all my life choices. Okay, now that traumatizing realization is over, let's get into the episode. My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, it really needs no introduction. At this point, it's a cultural phenomenon, with many people of all ages enjoying it. It even has a well-known adult male fanbase known as the Bronies, and I honestly have no problem with them. To me, they're just like any fandom. Whenever a fandom gets big, you tend to see the stranger and worst parts of it more often. The vast majority of Bronies are fine people who get a bad rep for the vocal minority, just like with most fandoms. I personally am not a Brony, and I don't really consistently watch the show, but I do see why some people might like it. And I don't see any reason to get on them for liking it. It's a fine show. The show itself follows 6 ponies who each have their own special talent and their adventures in the magical land of Equestria. The specific episode I'm reviewing, well, re-reviewing, is Putting Your Hoof Down. The episode is about being assertive, which is a good lesson to teach kids. I mean, being assertive instead of a doormat or aggressive is very important for children to know. So how does this episode do?
Do you think a strong, handsome stallion such as yourself could give my friend the last asparagus?
Not that great. Don't get me wrong, you could do a lot worse than this, but this is one of the show's worst attempts at a moral. Take, for example, well, the examples that Fluttershy is given, and, by extension, the audience is given.
That'd be a big no.
Oh, well, they should. How about flexing some of your muscles for me? 1 bit!
2 bits!
1 bit!
2 bits!
2 bits!
1 bit!
2 bits!
1 bit!
I insist it's 2 bits or nothing!
All of that talk about how to be assertive, and all Rarity and Pinkie Pie do is use manipulation tactics. Rarity uses her good looks on a guy, and Pinkie Pie uses cartoon manipulation. To be fair, these are decently funny moments, so I will let them slide. Where this episode's cardinal sin lies is with the main character of the episode, Fluttershy. Fluttershy is just awful in this episode. At the beginning, she is just a punching bag for abuse from Angel, who I hate more, and from the townsfolk, who are uncharacteristically rude in this episode. For the most part, the people, ponies in Ponyville are considerate, but in this episode, they treat Fluttershy like a frickin' second-class citizen. Honestly, what did she do? Poison the waterhole?
Somebody's poisoned the waterhole!
Oh. Well then, back to the episode. In the second half, she is aggressive due to a seminar she attended, and on its own, the plot is not that bad, and could work fairly easily. It starts by having Fluttershy go through an area where she needs to be assertive, specifically a shop. Her passiveness will eventually lead her to failing in her goal, and this convinces her to join a seminar to become assertive. However, she becomes aggressive and begins to bully people, until she learns to be assertive and not aggressive. So, with a plot this simple, what kills it? The pacing. Honestly, look at the seminar, which is a very small scene in the episode. We meet Iron Will, a Minotaur who teaches assertiveness, or, well, aggressiveness, and his tactics are shoving people before asking them to move, and going after people for laughing. This scene just shows his speech, exposition for later in the episode, and just one part of showing his tactics to Fluttershy. The pacing in this scene is too quick, because it has to be since the beginning dragged on longer than necessary. The beginning is just townsfolk being jerked to Fluttershy, so it doesn't really justify this crucial scene being rushed. Afterwards, she begins to assault people.
Did I mix them up again? Sorry about that.
You apologize, I penalize!
In the criminal justice system, sexually based offenses are considered especially heinous. In New York City, the dedicated detectives who investigate these vicious felonies are members of an elite squad known as the Special Victims Unit. These are their stories.
Now, I suppose I probably should have tried to stop Fluttershy, but it was donut break, and I really wanted that donut.
There is no escalation in the second half, and it's just immediately Fluttershy harassing people, until we get her going after Rarity and Pinkie Pie.
Why not? I thought petty was what you're all about, Rarity, with your petty concerns about fashion. You passionate about birthday cake, party hats? I can't believe that the two most frivolous ponies in Ponyville are trying to tell new Fluttershy how to live her life when they are throwing their own lives away.
This scene is the most uncomfortable to watch. And it's not necessarily because it's disturbing or anything, it's just so mean-spirited for what's usually sunshine and rainbows. And don't get me wrong, I really do get why it's here. It's there to show that she snapped, and it would really work if there was any pacing. But in my opinion, it's just uncomfortable because there wasn't enough pacing. It's not necessarily bad, and again, it would have worked if there was pacing, but the fact that there was no escalation in Fluttershy's behavior makes it seem like this is really what she's like deep down inside. Like, deep down under all the shyness and all of her attitude and whatnot, she's actually really mean and just absolutely hates her friends. I mean, if the pacing were better and a few minor things tweaked, this could have been another great episode. And it's kind of disappointing how close this came to being good. Nothing is more upsetting to me than lost potential, and lost potential is definitely what this episode is. Ultimately, this episode does teach us a lesson, but it stumbles hard on its way. It gets way too mean-spirited in virtually no time at all. And when you do this type of story, where a character tries to change, to better themselves, you need to escalate naturally. The pacing is super important in this type of episode. They shouldn't just change immediately, otherwise it comes off as repressed feelings when they eventually snap. If you don't do that, you get putting your hoof down. A bad episode from a decent show. So, what did you think of my review of Putting Your Hoof Down? Well, I guess it's a re-review. So, for those of you wondering why I decided to re-review this one, it's because of the technical issues. If you go back and watch the old one, after a while, due to a copyright thing, the music got taken out, and you can't hear me because it also took out most of my voice. So, yeah. Either way, this one's considerably shorter because I didn't really rant as much in this one. So, I think this one's a little better too. It's pretty great, in my opinion. I actually really enjoyed this one. So, if you like the video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next time when I finally get into some new material.
This was a triumph. I'm making a note here, huge success. It's hard to overstate my satisfaction. Aperture science. We do what we must because we can. For the good of all of us, except the ones who are dead.